Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Threadlings of Filmmaking Production Diary. I am your host, Miguel Ortega, and this is Tran.
Hey everyone.
How's everyone doing? Let's see who we have here. Tatoon. Tatoon? How's it going? Ruben, what's up? And Made in China, who put an emoji that I can't. I don't know what that is.
Made in China, so it's a funny name.
No, but I don't know what the emoji is.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Hello, Rob, what's up? So this week we are. Oh, it's a plague doctor. Oh yeah, it is a plague doctor. Wait, the second one is a plague doctor, but the first one is not. I have a plague doctor mask. Um, really old looking one. It's really awesome. Um, so how's everybody? Thanks for joining us. We are working on a new sequence now. So we moved out of the old sequence. Let me just play it. I might as well. Da, 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 da. So we're working on this sequence, which is going to look terrible right now, but I'll show you the one that we're working on that is pretty close.
Well, they hadn't seen the rest of the other one.
Yeah, I know how much I want to play that one.
Okay.
Let me find it. So let me just render this. Give me 1 second. But yeah, we've just been working on this thing, trying to get this sequence all wrapped up, and yeah, we're pretty happy with it. It's been completely relit. It looks much better, and we're happy to be on to another sequence. We also got an entire sequence back from Luma, which is really cool. They were working on the moth attack sequence, and we got that. So I'll show you some of that in a minute. Let me just render this out. This all moves so much slower when you're streaming.
It does. So, I mean, just while that's happening, I will talk over it. Last week I showed you guys like some preliminary lighting, which you're seeing the first frame, and I only had like 3 shots or whatever. So, I got a lot done. We basically have all the shots now of that sequence relit and much more polished up. So and cleaned up and everything like that with cloth sim and hair.
Yeah.
And now I'm working on the desert sequence, which has since we got the moth, I'm working on that.
Yeah. All right, so let me just show you guys this. 1 second. Give me 1 second. Can you share something real quick, Tran?
Yeah. Here I am. Okay. So I'll just show you guys what I'm working on, which is some of this grooming. Um, this part of the grooming is like not set in stone. So
Well, someone asked if we're the directors. We make the movie, the whole thing. We direct it, and we do the shots.
yeah. So the groom is kind of like on this character gonna be going through a lot of like iterations. So this is like my first shot at it. This took a while to even get here because of various reasons, but I can start moving this into Unreal, and just because I want to see how this looks. So what I'll do, because I'm using XGen, is first, let's actually just hide this. Okay, and I'll kill the lighting. Is first I want to get this moth inside Unreal. So I'll do that. Okay. I'll grab this here. Should be everything. And then I'll export this. I'll actually start launching Unreal first. And I've been doing like some hair tests. So you'll see my weird hair test. I'll bring this in as an FBX. And this is just
I could show this, by the way, if you want, real quick.
yeah, go
While
ahead
you're
and show it.
loading that, let me just show this. So this is where we're at with this sequence. James, can you let me know if the sound is working?
What's he doing? What's he doing? Zor, are you alright?
Zord die. The moths are no threat.
So anyway, so that's that sequence, pretty close to final. So everything has a cloth sim now. Everything is sim. The music is pretty close to final. Sound is not mixed yet, but and there's no color correction. So that's
it.
yeah, that's it. All right, see you guys. Good night. So anyway, so we have that, and now we're working on this other sequence, which is the scene before this, right? So I'll show you this, and then I'll let Tran take over and show what she's working on. But basically, this is the whole idea is this character named Zort is like their chosen one, right? He's like their messiah figure. It's this guy, the guy that you saw all zombied out, and he's this pompous, arrogant little shit. And but he's their messiah. He's like their Harry Potter, the chosen one that's going to end the battle against the moths. And one day Cotton Mayo witnessed him getting murdered, and when they run to tell the teacher, no one believes them because that would be blasphemous. And to make matters worse, well, you'll see what happens. So the scene you guys saw that you just saw right now would happen after the scene I'm about to show you. Okay, so and this here, there's no facial animation, there's no lighting at all. Everything is a big mess right now, but you could kind of see it editorially, and that's all that I'm really looking out for at this point.
That's a shot. I got him. The moth.
A moth? Wait. Slow down, boy. Slow down. Now tell me.
It swooped down, grabbed Zor.
Zord?
Ejected him. He's Mayo gone.
Oh, that's impossible.
It's true. We tried to save him, but Mayo. Zor?
Blasphemy. Consider your next words carefully.
Mayo saw.
Bah.
What in the left was that? Mayo no knows.
So you can see it's super rough, but now this would connect to the sequence that we just saw. So they witness him get murdered. They go to report it. And just as they're saying it, the professor already doesn't believe him because it's like, get the hell out of here. Nothing could happen to Zort. And then boom, in walks Zort as if nothing happened. Right. And now they look like liars. on top of the fact that they're like the two outcasts from the school. So now they look like liars. And at the end, they go to investigate what the hell is going on. There's also another thing that you notice, there's a bell over everything. So at nighttime is when the moths come out. So it's like mothing hour. So they're all going into their quarters to hide. So that's why there's going to be very few people in the hallway. There's still going to be some extras moving around, which we don't have in there yet. In the beginning of this sequence here, like you'll see them like running to their room or whatever. But then from that point on, it's supposed to be intentionally dark because it's the mothing hour. It's like vampires that come out at night. So they're all hiding in their quarters, and now Cotton Mayo go to investigate, and they go, they're like, what in the weft was that? Which is their little way of talking, and then that would connect to this right here, which they'd be peeking their head and to see what the hell was that, and then boom, you saw this already. So yeah, so that's what we're doing now. So right now, Tran is going to show you guys a few things on the moth, and then I'm going to start trying to put in some of the facial stuff in here.
I don't have anything interesting. It's at the moment, just so you know. They'll be watching me move UVs around.
Yeah, and then in terms, that's fine. In terms of like Mayo, yeah, Mayo only speaks in 2-word sentences. So he could only say, and the first word always is Mayo. So if he's happy, he'd be Mayo happy. If he's mad, Mayo mad. But he could only say 2 words at a time. So that makes him very difficult as a character. But we feel that that simplicity is going to make him much more appealing. And he's super badass. So you could see like he's the one, he's not affected by gravity. He can't fly, but he could just fall up. Right. So you can see like on a shot like this, Mayo could just like say, oop, and then just run up the wall, and he could run down the ceiling. So you could see, I'll show you this right here. Like right now we're animating as he's getting blown away by some of the moths. Give me 1 second.
There's a question. There's a few questions. Do you use Unreal grooming for the moth? Well, the hair is going through into Unreal, but all the grooming is done like in Maya. And as far as the programs we've used or have used on it, there's Yeti. I don't use Yeti, I use Action, and then there's Action.
Can't seem to be able to make this full screen, which is a bummer because I wanted to show this animation, but it does not let me show it.
Oh, so you can't show it.
Let me see, I'll try one more.
And I don't know if you answered this question. That's cool. How long is the Threadlings going to be? Feature length or short film?
This is going to be a proof of concept. So you can see here he's getting blown away by the moths, and you could see his sword will go flying, but he lands always kind of like a cat because gravity affects him differently. And this is very much inspired by the nighttime fight sequence in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So this,
He's even doing like his hands are funny.
Well, that's because he's this isn't far from finished, but the idea that I wanted him to fall back and then use his feet to basically become a brake pad to take the impact. So he has to drop down a little bit more, and then the sword will land next to him. But a lot of Mayo's like really cool stuff is being hand animated entirely, and his face is entirely hand animated, whereas the other characters are using more motion capture. But his face is so odd that when we try to do any of him with mocap, it just looks really wonky.
Oh, it looks super messed up.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's that. I could show you another one here that I have. Oh, this is pretty cool. So this is just showing like some of the cactus stuff. Cute little little world, but that's not even the thing I wanted to show. I wanted to show. This is interesting. This is like just showing how the animation, like this is what I give to animators so they understand what I want. See, you just saw that cot move or the Mayo move, sorry. You could see it's pretty much exactly this. So this is like the notes that are given. Let me find this here. We just found the guy that I basically want him to do all of the Mayo stuff because he just completely nails it. This is a pretty cool little sequence. So this is them ready to go to fight this giant moth that's killing one of the other Threadlings. And you can see that Mayo just looks like he's freaking out, like, oh crap. Cot gives him his energy because Cot has his magic. The sword lights up, really awesome. And now they go running to fight this moth, looking kind of goofy though. And that's intentional. We want Cot to look kind of dumb because he's not a Jedi yet, basically. And the fact that he has no face animation at this point makes him look really dull. And the fact that there's no cloth sim, it feels like he's got like this broken neck, but it's just the way the cloth is not simming at the moment.
Yeah, is this just temporary rig?
But look at Mayo's face, isn't this guy just nails him?
He does. He makes the mouth look shape really nice too.
So that's great. Let me see what else I have. I know I have one more. I actually think this might be it. Yeah. For the new stuff. Oh no, there's this one here. So this is them running to see and they see the moth coming down and attacking that guy. Mayo's the coolest. Yeah.
I think they look, they really look like kids, which is great
Yeah.
because that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely coming to life. Our website, yes, we do have a website. You could follow us on Instagram. That's where we post everything. So yeah, so that's that. So now we're working on this, and this is not exactly how we work. As you guys have been watching, we do all the sound first. So once it's such a weird way of working, we do the sound first so that I could get the tone and feel of it. I even put the temp music in first. Then I play this over the motion capture just so that there's a sense of timing. And I tell them, you don't have to match it exactly, but now you know the tempo that I want things to move in, which is really weird, I'm sure, for them. They do the motion capture, and now I have to move things around, jiggle them around so that they fit. But for the most part, they fit pretty well ish. And since the motion capture is based off of that timing, when I put it in there, yes, I have to move it or whatever. Then all I have to really do is find all the camera movements to basically tell the story, right? So the sense of urgency, obviously the camera's moving because they're running. Every movement you want it to have some kind of a purpose, not just move for nothing. So we start with this one, then we're looking down at them because we want them to feel like they're full of shit. then his head is always the biggest head because he's the one that's overpowering them, right? Then again, you're looking back down at them here, big head. They look smaller, and then here, boom, the feet. We don't know what it is. I made sure the camera's blurry here as like, holy shit, what the hell is going on? And then camera's completely static here. It goes back to them being small. He's big again. They look small as the door looks much bigger as it's slamming on them, basically shutting them off. And then here I wanted them to feel as small as possible, but also show you the journey that they need to go on, which is down this crazy corridor to find the monster at the end of the hall. So every camera movement has some story element to it, right? It doesn't mean that everyone is going to look at the shot and be like, oh, this means this means that. But ideally, or hopefully you feel it, even if you don't know why that I picked that camera shot or whatever. But anyway, so that's what I'm working on. Tran will show you some stuff, and then I could come back and I'll show you guys like how we're popping in some of the facial animation. Okay.
Okay, so back to me. While Miguel was showing stuff, I just imported this FBX. This moth is a lot of work, I'll just say, because he's really big. So this is not any important scene. This is like some template scene, but I ended up using it as I just put stuff in it because it's really light. So it's just here like something to load stuff in. You can see these characters. That's Cotton Mayo, that's Dort, and that's a professor. And this is how big a moth is to him. So they're really massive. It has a ton of materials, so you can see how it's been broken up. So just setting up the materials is a lot of work. The moth itself, like it has a couple things. Right now, the textures on it are just they're 2K UDIMs, but I do have 4K versions, and the 2K is just because it's a lot of UDIMs. It's again a ton of work. So here's like the shader setup I have. It's got some Fresnel capabilities and the albedo, basic roughness, and then I do have like dual normal maps. So one where it's just a high detail. So I think if I do this, that should flatten out the detail. And then the other one is the form. So I can turn that off, see what that looks like. There we are.
That way you have them separated out, so you have the form, and then you have the
Yeah, they
individual
were-
porous detail.
So I didn't texture this, and this was textured by David Kwok. He did a great job. A lot of times Substance will combine these two maps, like the high detail and everything. So yeah, it looks a little bit soft to me. So I'm just looking at it. So they will kind of do that. And then it's, you don't really want it like that because once you export it and you bring it into another program, you really do want it to be separate. So I can weaken it, I can make it stronger, right? So there's a lot of nice control on that. And then I can lay the small detail right here, and I can crank that up and down. And I can do it per like a shot basis. And that took a while. It took like a long while because the file is super slow in Substance. So clicking on anything and just doing a small change, you have to wait so long. So that's what I spent like all yesterday, most of yesterday and day before doing, was just trying to separate all that stuff. So that's that shader. And what I'm about to do now is just export this groom here. So this groom is done in XGen. I'll show a couple things. Let's look at my guides here. And I do have a light. So this light really helps me see how the hair is going to behave. It's a pretty good indicator. And If you're wondering why I use action other than Yetis, one, I didn't really learn Yeti. And two, I think Yeti is really good, but I can't not see what it looks like because it has really poor preview inside of Maya. So it takes a lot longer to see your actual result. It won't look like this, right? It just looks like grayed out, like kind of mesh. So it takes way too long, in my opinion. So I haven't really jumped over to it. But the groom is pretty basic. So that's how my hair sits. And then you can see my guides. And then I just start clumping it. So it's like my first clump. And the hair is done a little bit differently because I'm trying to get it to feel like an insect. And it's just artistic interpretation. It's not like true because moths are really little. And so the hair is like really large in them. And ours is not really little. But I'm trying to keep it kind of spike out, like these kind of shapes. We'll see how it looks. I'll put the cut and then some noise, which really opens it up. And the next frizz, and then some noise on the roots, right? Because that helps it make it look dirty. So whenever you see a lot of noise on the roots, it makes it feel like it's kind of like natted or something like that. And so that there gives me that groom. And this is kind of my setup. I changed the color in this back and forth because I kind of want to see like what's seen through it, right? And then it at a darker version. And I do know I do have textures. We're just going to apply the albedo. I'll probably have to modify the albedo. And then one thing I had to do on this, which was kind of a pain, and this is due to Xgen, so this is like a downside of Xgen, is when you want to paint maps, it can only paint on one UDIM. So these have to have multiple sets. This is the regular UVs for the textures. This is the Xgen one, which is this here. So I have to swap them around. So I'm going to swap this back. That way, when I export this hair, it's going to inherit this hair is going to inherit whatever UVs is on the head. At least it should. I'm about to see what happens right now. I'm going to convert this to interactive groom. Let's just double check. So I'm very OCD about this step because you can make mistakes. And I'll take this groom description node that I have selected over here, convert to interactive groom, and I'll hide the other Xgen. And I'll take a look at this and see how it's behaving. So sometimes it gets, when it converts over, it gets like really frizzy, like frizzier than what I intended. I think I might be okay with that. But some of the hair looks more janky, actually. So what I'll do is look for the CV points and just rebuild it. There we are. And it kind of smooths it out a little bit. So this is one step that I realized, like when you convert it straight, the hair gets kind of like crimpy. And now that I have that, it's really easy. I'm caching everything out through like, this is like the Xgen window, the generate one. And let's export this. I turn on right final width. And I'll call this moth head hair. So there's going to be a lot of descriptions. So it's going to just be kind of a lot of work because the moth is so big. And I'll jump back in here where the moth is. I'll delete these old shaders. And then drop in that alembic here. and just let it import. So I already have my settings. The settings for hair alembic is very strange to me. It's like -90 rotation, 0, 180, and then a scale of -1, 1, 1. Okay, so my hair made it through. I'll drop this here. And I'll just copy this properties here. Okay, so now it's on top, which is cool. Now let's see if I can get the hair material on it. I'm like trying to find where it is. Okay, so this is it. Okay, well, it has the wrong textures on it. Okay, let's just duplicate this. Call it moth, hair, head. And then I'll assign this. Let's assign it to the group asset, which is over here, because that becomes permanent. Okay. And then now I'll actually like not have this crazy texture map, but another one. And I think I'm gonna have to adjust the textures for the hair. And I'm gonna dig to try to find this thing. Okay, it's not. There we are. Okay, yes, definitely I have to adjust this. But it does look like it's reading correctly, but it's super dark. What do you think, Miguel?
I think it's looking pretty cool.
Okay, that hair. So the hair texture is just the moth head texture. Oh crap. I don't know what happened to my screen. I think it's heavy. I might convert these down to like 1K for the hair textures. There's not really a reason why it has to be so high. And maybe yeah, when I bring this up, all the hairs are too dark.
That looks gnarly when you were doing that just now.
Like this.
That's cool.
So the roughness too. I think the hair, this is interesting because like it's almost black and it looks kind of fluffier because it's not very shiny.
Yeah. That looks good.
Does it look good?
The main thing for me is like this thing cannot look like a bee, right? But and I'm not saying it does, but I'm just saying that's the biggest concern.
Yeah, but the black texture is really
It looks really good when you had that radiation. That looks like he's like a. That looks really freaking beautiful.
but don't you think the black hair is too black? It's just like black. It
Yeah.
doesn't pick up any specular. I'm like, what happened here?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I wish it picked up some detail, but that
Yeah, I think
gradation there, the oranges, like wow, that looks really pretty.
I think that
That looks really cool too. That looks like some like douchebag punk rock kid from the 90s. You know, when he would like dye his hair too many times and it just looked like gross.
yeah. So already things I could see that I have to change the textures. They work for the albedo of the skin, but it's not, the dark colors just read really dark, and I can't lift them up anymore. So I have a color correction node here, and I'm multiplying it by 10, and it's still really dark here. So it just means I have to tweak that as I bring up the brightness. I do have a saturation controller, but you can see how this doesn't get any brighter. Now, yeah, that's okay. That's like a whole other thing. So that will take some time. I'm not really sure. I guess I just kind of want to see it. Like how the hair just looks. And just, I want to see how the colors respond. I do have a tip and a root control. So this is pretty, I'll just show you the shader because I can't texture the hair that quickly. But let's see, let's say my hair is red and I'll make this green just so you can see it. So I have a root controller right here, and the root is like very short, but I have a length which needs to be dialed. So I can control how that transitions over. It's a little bit janky. Let's say something like that. And then you can see how the tip is green, this is red. And then I also have a noise controller, which allows me to control contrast and like how it blends. So there's a lot that it can actually do. So I'll get something like that. It is interesting to see, like, as I'm showing this to you guys, I'm just kind of analyzing it, where I don't feel the albedo of the skin is that dark, right? Like, just the way it's blending, I'm not too sure about it. Let me hide the hair. I don't know. What do you think? Just like the shape of the hair, Miguel?
Let's take a look. I think the shape of the hair looks good.
You think so?
Yeah, I actually think it looks really well. Really, not really well. Really good.
Let me try not to make it these horrible colors.
These colors don't look that horrible. It looks kind of cool.
And then let me show you without the hair. Because I could adjust the groom. Do you think it should be more sparse?
Don't know. I think you kind of have to put a little bit more fur on the body before.
Yeah. Well, there's things I can do. I can thin out the hair at the tip. Let's just make it thinner in general. I just want to see, because that kind of emulates like what it looks like if it was more bald. Like if it was more bald. Does that look better?
It looks good.
Or does it look better if it's more full?
I didn't mind the full one. I think as it gets balder, the color should be a closer match to the stuff underneath because now it looks.
Yeah, for sure. So let's do that. Let's throw the head back in. that.
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to fix the script here.
Desaturate this. Yeah, this is where I'm like, trying to think about what to do. So I'm thinking like, let's see the comments. Grounded colors look better in your opinion. Well, it should correspond. Well, I'm not going to make it green. Whenever I make something green, it's just I want to see how
So-
it's behaving.
Yeah, you select extreme color so that you're sure. Sometimes you get like when you're being too subtle, you could almost imagine the colors changing in your head, and you think they're changing and nothing is happening.
Well, it's helping me diagnose the root and the tip
Sure.
just to see which one. But I think I have to change the color map. That this black is way too black. I might need a controller though to decontrast that inside the material. So those are like my thought processes as I'm kind of remaining quiet, like what I should do. Don't know where my outliner is. Here it is. So what I'll do here first, I think I want to adjust the textures, but I'm going to find my master material here. And I'll show you how I have it. It became complex. It started out really simple. So this is a hair material. You can find tutorials how to make them that will be more, that would be better. The main thing is when you create a material and the shading model has to be set to hair. If you have it just as anything else, you cannot actually apply it to the hair. And then you'll just get, this setup. The scatter, specular and backlit don't really do anything to me in Lumen. They do have like an effect in Path Tracer. The roughness does do some stuff, but it's kind of weird. It also ends up influencing the color of the hair. So I feel like the materials are kind of strange. And then most of it is driven by color. So all this complex stuff is for the color. In order for all those maps to work, you do need a hair attribute kind of node here. And if you look at this, there's root UV, and the root UV needs to be plugged into the color map. So I have a color tip and a color root, and then these are all just color corrections. So they're pretty basic. Like I can saturate, multiply, and then I have contrast, which I don't know if contrast is actually working. It is actually working. So I don't actually need to plug that in. And then the root is the same. And then what happens is there's a lerp right here to blend them. And the alpha here is what controls the length or how the hair blends. So for example, when I was doing this here, let's just reset this. So it's just white. And I'll tint my tip green just so I see it. And this one, my root is red. And again, I'm just doing that so I can see my shader behavior. And the root tip control here, and the way it's blending is controlled by this value. Okay, and then all that, when you see my shader, here is this section. All I really need though is just this really, and it goes into the alpha. And then all this comes from length. So it's literally like the length attribute that's driving that. This I looked at some tutorial. I couldn't make this part from scratch because I don't do a lot of hair shading. And then the other attribute I have in here is I have a randomize color, and there's these two crazy colors. So if you want to see what that does. Let's go to material here. And they're like insane colors because I just want to see what it's doing. So let's reset this. Okay, so it's all white. Okay, these are deactivated. So that is actually broken. And I'm not sure why. True. And these are not on. Okay, so my shader is not functioning. Or is it? Okay, it is. Okay, so right now it can randomize between hot pink and green. And what it is one is the root and one is the tip. But I can also control the strength of this so that there's more, which you can barely see what's happening, but it's doing it. And then the fall off, which controls the sharpness. So I can insert, like, right now it's really intense, put random colors in here. So then it will have like some kind of breakup. In this case, like if this was really dark, and this was dark, and maybe I want kind of like white hair. In this one, and this one. And then I can kind of scatter in that. And there's a strength controller, which doesn't, there it is. It's kind of doing something. So that allows me to like pepper in different strands. I'll come back here and change my hair root and scale. And you can kind of see how that looks. And I think the interesting thing when I'm looking at this is my hair is actually white, very bright colors. And it's very dark, regardless, around here. One, I think it's because it's shadowing. And two, because the color map is very dark. So because the color map's dark, it kind of just remains dark in this region over here, even though it's like one color. So that will probably influence this a lot. But I'm not sure about the groom either. Anyway, that's how all the things I think about. And you want to show anything, Miguel, since you're playing audio?
No, just keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I mean, I could show stuff if you want, but
Yeah, I mean, because I'm kind of stuck.
okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to synchronize the facial animation to the audio.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Blasphemy. Yeah.
So let's turn on the default material here and let's turn on.
Blasphemy.
So just
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy.
That's not it. So this is a custom tool that I created with the help of ChatGPT to offset the animation on the faces. So you just select the character and then you have the slider and it moves all the keyframes on the blend shape so that when you're trying to sync it up to this, it's pretty easy.
Blasphemy. Yeah.
You can see right there. That's it right there.
Blasphemy.
172.
Blasphemy.
Come on.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Just turn off wireframe.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy.
So, I wish he pushed it a little bit further, and by he meaning myself,
Blasphemy. Yeah.
especially when it goes, yeah. So I probably re-record this, but we were having some issues with this sequence in particular and the faces.
Blasphemy.
The rigs got broke.
Yeah.
It's a newer animator that we're working with, and there was some technical hiccups, which is normal, but
Blasphemy.
the faces were screwed up. So at
Yeah.
least it's all working.
Yeah, that looked really stressful.
Yeah. So, so let's call this. Oh, crap. File reference editor.
You can pop it over to me if you want. So I think that I've thought about it in a couple of seconds. I scattered in some light hair in the random color. So you see the color map and then these just white hairs in there. And I think the groom is not there. Like it looks fluffier. So I went back here and readjusted it. So the clumps come more to the point. And it looks a little bit greasier this way. And that might be cool. It might work. I'm not really sure because to me, like visually, there's a difference when I see it in there versus here. So the only way to know is just to go back and forth. And I'm just adjusting some of my noise here because it starts to break it up too much. So these are just my clumps by itself. And then maybe the noise on this is a little high. Okay. And this noise was a little strong.
Oh, you took over again?
Yeah.
That's good.
And then noise on the roots.
You know what? I'm going to play music again.
Yeah, because our voices are not entertaining.
Yeah, but we're in it today. We're
Yeah.
actually working.
No, we're super in it. And I don't know if I should mess with the hair density here.
I just realized I probably went silent for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I took over.
Okay, good.
But
Because instantly I'm like, oh my god, use the wrong rig again. Ah, everything has to get redone.
it's the wrong rig. I have a question. What ChatGPT has to do here? It helps you write scripts to automate exporting it. And want to answer that, or
Yeah. Let me pull up ChatGPT.
so we don't have like a scripting background, right? So sometimes when you're working, actually most of the time you do have like automatic tasks like exporting and importing things in. And if you do it manually, it takes a long time, and there's a lot of user error. Like you can just kind of screw up because you're doing it all by hand. And what Miguel is doing is creating like, are they Python scripts or Mel scripts
For Python scripts.
that like help with his task? So it does it like right away, really fast. And
Not
it's
right away. It's still a pain in the butt. I'll show this. So
Yeah.
you could see here, I asked it to create a tool to do a particular thing. And here's a lot of back and forth with it.
they say the audio is funny.
That's because there's music playing.
So he likes it. Someone said it's a little bit louder than us.
Okay. I don't know. So, okay, I'll turn it off for now. So you could see the here it wrote all this code. So I'm telling it what I wanted to do. So you can see I literally put I use a plugin, blah, 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 blah. I explain what it is. And this is a lot of back and forth until you get it to work, right? But I got the code, copied it in there, and now I have this tool here, and you could see you could select which character you want, and you could offset their animation, and it's plugged into mocap X. So I use it for this kind of stuff all the time.
Blasphemy. Yeah.
So I probably would do let's do 162.
Blasphemy. Yeah.
Let's do 160. I think it's 160.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah.
So I wish it had that. Yeah.
We have a question. How did you get splatter, blood, gore effects into it? Niagara or also Maya?
What splatter effects?
Yeah, I know. I don't think we have gore splatter.
Blasphemy. Yeah.
We don't have any effects right now. I don't think we do.
You mean the stuff on the floor?
Oh, it was another one.
Oh, I don't care about AI questions at all.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy.
You know, I understand why why there's AI hate, but yeah, I just don't care. I would use any tool in the world to get
To get our stuff done.
our stuff done.
Yeah, and that being said, like we did design stuff ourselves and everything like that. Like, and I don't use it for the art for that type of stuff.
No, we don't use it for the art, but for the stuff that we're like the creating tools, or when we did the Mayo sword, how we ran it in there just to see what. But you ultimately we don't actually use the thing that AI showed us. We were like, okay, here's our design. It made it look a little more realistic. We're like, oh, cool. So if we spend 4 days modeling this thing, it'll look good. Then you hand model the entire thing, and that's we're not ever grabbing anything from AI and putting it in the film directly in any way. But if there was a way to speed certain things up with AI that would benefit the project, I would use it in a second. So I definitely don't have any.
Yes, when you're making your own projects like this and you just need to get things done and you don't have money and this, you're putting all your time into it, you're going to use whatever tools or resources that you can.
Yeah.
I have a second version in the group. I don't know if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
That noise scrubbing is.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm doing today. So.
You want to? I'll show my groom.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool, but it really does look like a bumblebee completely now.
Well, that's where the yellow was kind of a problem, right?
Yeah.
But the hair now is more like that. Now, does that mean we should just change the yellow color?
I think what does a death head moth look like again?
Yellow and white.
But it's not, it's a different yellow. Like most of it is black. It just has yellow in the back.
Yeah, but it still has those stripes.
But not on the face.
I do think the face needs the color breakup.
I think it needs color breakup too, but
I think the color. Like here, I desaturated it. Does white work? I don't know if white works. But we don't want it to be red.
see how cute these little bastards really are in real life? Like they really are cute.
The moths?
Yeah.
Of course they are.
They're like little rabbits.
They're all fluffy and stuff.
If you didn't eat my freaking rugs, I'd love you guys, but you ate my rugs and now I hate you. There you go.
What if it's like, I don't know, take a look at my screen.
That's cool. I like that.
Whatever this is.
Yeah, I like that.
So the shader's doing a lot of the work.
I think that's pretty cool.
But it still has a yellow underneath here.
James wants to know, are these moths big in real life? So our building for some reason has like a moth problem. We don't have any other bugs but moths. And I have a feeling it's because I don't know, because I was gonna say because I think that there was this lady that had all these birds, and I always heard that moths come in through the bird feed, but these are like fabric moths, so I don't know. But I remember one time in the hallway there was like a freaking ginormous, looked like a goddamn bat. Remember that, Tran?
Oh, it was huge. It was a small. It was so scary looking.
It was so fucking scary looking. It was just this ginormous bat creature, and it was a moth. So I'm obviously exaggerating, but it was probably the size of like a 8-year-old's hand, right? So that's pretty big.
It was pretty big. Yeah. It was gross. It was so gross.
So we don't get moths like that in our apartment. That was like one time in the hallway. Like the cloth moths are actually tiny, but yeah. No, if we had that in our apartment, my God, that'd be terrifying.
Do you think this whatever I did with the hair
Yeah.
works?
Yeah, totally.
So it looks more thinned. I just darkened the eyes because they were really not standing out. It's yeah, and then maybe we can still keep the yellow underneath.
I like the yellow poking through it. Yeah.
I don't know what I did with the shader either. It works. That's good. Let me see.
As long as it works.
As long as it works. I cut the hair density down. So we jump back in here. It's let me save this. So that now I have a conversion in here because I now have 2 hair descriptions. But this density is only, which is great. So the other thing it's very technical when I'm doing the hair groom. I am keeping track of how many strands there are, and then because that makes it really heavy, right? So the more strands you have in your groom, the heavier it is in your scene. The other thing that contributes to how heavy your scene is how many points are on a strand. So just like basically the resolution of a strand, right? So by default, there's like 5 points. I've been working with 20, which is not really considered, it's not really low, but it's not considered a lot either. I think 5 is like very low. So, but the number of strands is pretty low for a head, which is really good. So that's what this looks like here.
So he says she would burn down her house and run away.
What if they look like this?
Oh, if they were the size of like a kid's hand.
Oh yeah, that one we saw. You see this one in Australia that look like they truly have a stinger. You know what I'm talking about?
Pull it up.
Let's see. Let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah, Australia's got like a rep for like crazy animals.
Australia is like a planet in a sci-fi movie where you would go to, and that's where all the aliens would be.
Oh my gosh, look at that. If we think our moth stinger is crazy, look at this guy. And you say they don't have hair. It's so
That's not a stinger. That's some.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It freaks me out.
James thinks it's something else.
Yeah, but it's still scary.
Well, that'd be even scarier. Imagine that. You'd be the champion of the whole neighborhood.
But yeah, it wasn't like that. But the one in the hallway was pretty scary.
What the hell is that thing?
I don't know.
Zoom into it? Like, what could that possibly be?
I don't know, but I don't want to look anymore. It's like kind of gross. Australia always wins. Yeah, when when I was a kid, I thought kangaroos were supposed to be really cute, and they are still cute, but they will mess you up. So, but they were like depicted as like a kind of harmless or something. But they're super strong, and so they're not so harmless. Okay, let's jump back here. And then what I'll do now is, I don't know, I guess I'll do the body. Do I want to do the body? This is kind of big. So these don't have hair. This one does. I did get some references. Let me pull them up. You know what's crazy about references nowadays is like sometimes I'm not sure if it's real photo. This one I can tell it's a real photo. So these are like some references that I'm looking at. I think this might be AI. I'm not sure what this is. These look real, but when I started looking at them, I couldn't tell if they were AI or not. But those are some here. And then this guy is funny. And this is a death's head that Miguel was showing earlier. So what we don't want is like, this looks like really velvety. Like it feels like it looks really soft. And what works on this one here is like how sparse this is, and it's really straight. And the hair is super thick, and you can see it here. But you know, ours is thicker, but we don't want it like this so much. I think the hair will start looking really strange. But we want to go for something on the body where it feels not fuzzy like this, because it's very pretty when you look at this. Like look at that color.
Moths are beautiful.
Yeah, they are. They're so pretty. I don't know if butterflies are furry like that. I know that moth wings sit like this. They sit different than butterflies.
May someone eat their fur. They ate my rug.
Okay, so where do I not want it? I actually don't know what to do. Do you see anywhere where the moth wouldn't have fur?
I wouldn't put it that far back. I would put the face. I would put like a mane on it on its back, on the skull section, and then I would let the rest of it just be the shell.
So just scatter it.
Yeah. Or else it'll just be too much, don't you think?
Yeah. I think the thing that I have trouble with is I don't even know what the texture pattern looks like. I don't know if I would do it based on the color pattern here, because then it would be really hard to groom. It should be a lot of shell. Does that fur make it cute on its head when you look at it?
Well, cute or not, it's still ripping the little threadling apart.
I'm trying not to make it cute. I gave it very sparse hair.
So he's like, rug is our serious business. This movie literally comes from my war against moths eating my rugs. They ate my beautiful Persian rugs. Those bastards, I hate them.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Based on true events, yes.
based on true story. Okay, so what I'm doing is super tedious. I know I probably don't. Do I want hair on these spikes?
No, of course not. You'll lose the spikes.
Yeah, but if you have hair and you don't put hair in the spikes, you lose the spikes anyway. Because what happens is
Overpower it.
well, the hair adds additional length.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? So you
Yeah.
almost like you should if you still want them to read. But I won't initially. And so what I'm doing is I'm basically selecting the UV shells. So this was UV'd very carefully by me, which means that it's easier to do this. So I cut off each spike. Now I can select it very quickly. And this took a long time, the UV. Miguel retopologizes, and Sadan Vague. I don't know if I'm saying his name right,
Yeah.
but he designed this. I did like all the lame stuff on this. It's just like the UV.
God, apologizing that was so painful.
Yeah. UVing it was very painful because it had to be sliced up into so many pieces. Okay. Let's invert select. Convert to face selection. And I have mirroring. So this way I can deselect this because if you're using XGen and you have like all these areas that doesn't need hair and you still apply it, what will happen is it will get heavier. So if you don't need hair in certain sections, you really shouldn't apply it because your scene will be heavy. Even if you mask it out, it will still calculate as if it's generating hair across the surface. And I think I'll drive the rest by mask. So this one will be super heavy. Let's create a description. I hope it doesn't crash. Let's call this body disc description. I'll create a new collection. Body collection, let's see what it does. Okay, it made it. Well, I don't know. Not sure if it worked. Because it said object not found. But it seems okay. Okay, I'm about to crash. Okay, we'll find out right now. So I'll place a guide. Let's hide the antenna. And if I can't place a guide, then I will know. So there's no hair here. I think it's okay. And it's already performing pretty slow because the mesh is dense. So this one's not going to be fun to groom. I can already tell. Okay, so I was able to place a guide, which means it's working. And let's rotate that. I'll start combing the hair and placing these. Let's see like how far I can get. Maybe it'll be like a small challenge that motivates me. The hair might be a little bit long, but I could always apply a cut. And let's start placing some more guides. So I'm not gonna worry about the other side because I can mirror it. You can see placing a guide takes a while. And that's because the mesh is slow. It's like dense. It's like the body itself is 300 polys. What I'm gonna do here, so I don't have to do each one, is I'm gonna copy this long one and I'm gonna paste it. And then I can reposition and adjust this with the brush. So they're not all the same. And let's generate the hair. Let's see how it looks. Okay. So that's the start. I'll apply the same shader. So every time I create a new description, it just spits out a new hair shader. And if you don't manage these, you'll get like 50 of them. Okay. And let me check my anti-aliasing settings. Okay, they're pretty high. I'll just keep going. I think the hair in the back is kind of straightforward. So I'll just continue placing the rest of these. And I don't actually know what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of like trying to figure it out. Let's copy this one, paste it into the short one. I think what I'll do is I'll try to make it flow with the form. Just using that brush. And it's a little bit closer to the body. Okay. Let's give it a few more. This could actually be rotated like that. And let's bake the guides, which I will bake the guides whenever I use the rotations for Maya. And let's try to get this to flow. How's it going for you?
It's good.
Okay. Maybe we'll flow around this hole. And that these have to flow. Like, I don't really know how this is going to turn out, which is why I'm doing the groom. because if we have another artist do it, we'll just drive them kind of crazy because we don't know exactly what we want. And then making them do a bunch of iterations will drive them crazy.
On the fur?
Yeah.
You mean for you to groom it?
Well, if we had another artist do it,
Yeah, yeah.
it would drive them nuts because we don't know what we want.
We're a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Blasphemy.
So I don't know what I want, but I can do it over and over until I'm happy. But to make another person do that is is not like
1 second.
is not something that we like to do to people because it could really drive another artist crazy. But when it's yourself, you can do that to yourself. Okay, so I just saved and I'll place some more. And they're kind of evenly placed so that the hair knows what it should do. I don't want to put any in the hole. At least I don't think I do. And the flow is pretty basic, so okay. Maybe this one gets shorter. And this one's shorter. And we'll have that flow.
Okay, I need to play the sound for a moment. So
Go for it. Let's mirror it over here.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy.
If you, let's see, if you end up putting camera on top, this would be a skull with the wig. Yeah, it might be. That is a skull with a wig. Okay, so let's actually see like how this hair is gonna look. I don't see like action's already so much slower. Okay, so I have like coverage. I don't have masking out certain areas. I do have collision, like right here. So I already know to fix that, I need a guide. Meaning because there's no guide here, the hair doesn't know what to do. And you can see how that guide is cutting into the surface. But now if I regenerate that, it's not doing it. And then there's some interpenetration here. So it means it needs hair. But I'm probably gonna mask out the hair around there. But before I even put modifiers or clumping, I always want to see how it looks like this. Because you don't really want, for the groom to look good, you don't want any of that like crashing in. Because you'll see it, you'll feel it. That the hair is like weird. So because the surface is not smooth, you can see how every guide that I place where there's collision issues has collision issues. But if it was like round like a skull, it wouldn't be doing that. So it just needs more.
there's going to be moths when you say will there be more moths in the movie, what do you mean by that? Do you mean shots or like Moth A and Moth B, like Bob and Bill? This mocap helmet is like a torture device.
Yeah, Miguel has a mocap helmet on his head right now. He's not going to show you what he looks like, though, if you guys want to ask.
No, it's torturous. So, okay, let's see.
It does hurt, I think.
There's no thinking. It's knowing.
Well, I don't wear it. You do.
It absolutely just presses my brain. Okay, let's see.
Okay, so I'm going to add clumping now. Since I took care of some collision problems, it's smoother over here, so it's probably fine. The hair here is going to be weird because there's no guide, so I'm just going to try to ignore it. And I'll generate clumps, which is going to take a long time
Blasphemy.
because the whole body has hair.
Blasphemy.
This is where
I think I got it. 540.
there we are. Let's do this at the same value as
Blasphemy.
it's going to take a bit.
Blasphemy.
So I'm waiting to generate additional clumps. And Miguel, I don't know if you want to show what you're doing.
Blasphemy. Yeah.
Okay, there we are.
Blasphemy. Yeah.
Set save. Let's wait.
Blasphemy.
Now again, this is super heavy because the geometry of the mesh is really heavy. So now when it places points on everything, it's doing on a 300,000 mesh. And so it's going really, really a lot slower. So this one's going to be a slower groom than the head because the head is not as heavy. And it seems fine. There's some error messages here, but I think it's okay. And I wonder if the clumps are too tight. Let's turn on lighting. Oh, this is going to be super slow. The density is at 50,000. It's where you got quite a bit of hair. Maybe the clumps are too tight. They're too small for the first clump. So I'll come back in here and do this again. And you can see this is not a fast process. I'll cut it in half by 0.2. Hit generate, wait, and then watch these yellow thingies reduce itself. Wherever there's like a yellow point or like line, that's where it's going to clump. There we are. And again, everything feels like it takes much longer on a stream.
Let's see, 421.
And let's let it save.
Blasphemy. Yeah.
There we go. So check this out. So now I'm still getting it better, but you can see here.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy.
That's pretty cool.
Blasphemy.
Okay, so I gotta fine tune the timing now. So it's like 484,
Blasphemy.
483. So first I do it with the slider.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy.
Let's take a look at his
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah.
there you go.
You got it?
Did you see it?
No, I'm trying to pay attention to my hair.
So look.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy.
Well, now he has an expression. That's awesome.
Yeah. Blasphemy.
So Miguel, all that dialogue that you guys were hearing, that was Miguel doing the facial performance.
When you become so grumpy at, yeah, that's totally it. Let me save this before I mess this up. So, okay, so now let's do Kott's expression. So the problem is we have the wrong Kott model in here.
Yes, and it's a very different face. A lot of work went into making that face better.
But even here, let's just see what. So I just sent that over. So now let's come over here. That's not the expression that Kott's gonna have.
Is
Look at
that the wrong rig? It is.
those lips look right though, right?
Yeah. Because
Volume.
they have volume, and Traga did like the M lips, upper lip.
Yeah.
You guys know it's like there's an M shape,
Well, let's see. I'm gonna replace.
and it has a nicer pucker. And the brows has emotion.
Mocap, mocap. Where the hell? Oh, this is under blasphemy.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy.
Let's see.
Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy. Yeah. Blasphemy.
So I want him to look totally
Blasphemy.
confused as to what is going on here.
Blasphemy. Yeah.
-508. So let's do 20, 520.
Blasphemy.
Too much movement in the face.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the correct rig, unless that was a version where the mouth had some broken stuff.
try the new one. So I'm just recording it and then emailing it to myself, the mocap, and then just quickly applying it.
Blasphemy. Blasphemy. Yeah.
So a big problem that we have with that I have with this shot right now is that his head is not sticking to where he should be. Okay, why is this? Why is it not letting me add a keyframe?
Yeah, you guys can see what it's like to do all this super exciting stuff. If you jump over to me, you can see I'm doing also something very exciting, which is painting this mask. I'm experimenting. I'm trying to see if I can make the hair interesting by leaving gaps. It might not do anything at all and be like a total waste of time because I might not even appreciate it. So that's how it goes. So okay, so let's say I think this pattern is awesome or whatever. Let's save that and I'll save into here, which will take a second because everything is slower. You have a question. What microphone do you use to record?
Okay, that's a good question. I'll tell you right now because I don't remember the name. We use a very expensive mic. I just have to find it. So we use this one, the Newman TLM. God damn, I didn't even remember it being that expensive. I thought it was like 400. I thought that was expensive. So we use this thing, and then we use and we record on this. The Mix Pre 6, which is a 32-bit sound recorder. It's really awesome. I love this thing. So we record with both of these, and then the sound booth, we use this. which is
The guitar. That one right there.
yeah, it's this thing here. It's really kick-ass. This thing is awesome. I love this thing. So we spent a lot of money to get the audio good for this project.
Yeah, but it's not like really, it's not cheapy. But if you compare it to like, you got to rent your own studio, you got to find a professional studio, it's still much cheaper.
Oh yeah, it's much cheaper, and I just like that it's ours. Like now the next project, like that Newman microphone is super old. It's not like it's like some uh new thing that is going to be outdated. That microphone has been around forever. So yeah, I think it's cool. Why the hell is this thing? Why is this thing not keyable all of a sudden?
You know, I would not want to do what Miguel does. When I watch him work, I'm like, that looks like a lot of work.
All I do is troubleshoot. That's basically my job. Is troubleshoot this crap.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bobby. I don't know what that means. $1,000 to make my polygon count eat all your amazing sound. Not sure. Thanks, Chris. It's going to be better once it's mixed. So we don't have it mixed in yet. So the scene that we were playing earlier is not mixed down. Mixing is like one of those things that I need to get better at. But I think if I get better, I just have to sit down and do it. And it's usually like that process is happening while we're wrapping up the film, and it's just a mad dash to get it done, and then we just give it to the same guy who's been mixing all our stuff. I do all the sound design, but the mixing I always give it to someone. But I want to get better at mixing. Anyway, so that's it, guys. So I gotta get ready and go to Gnomon for class, but thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Um,
I started my groom. I did not
Funny.
finish it.
It's okay. So right now I just got to get caught to look like he's staring ahead.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah.
Shrug looks good though.
He does. His facial expressions look great.
Yeah, this is an easy expression for me to hit when I'm wearing this torture helmet because I'm super pissed off right now. So. I'm just kidding. All right, thank you guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
We'll be back next week.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks everyone. Thanks Chris, Ruben, Rob, Bobby, Sohi, Chris. I said that twice. Everybody. Too many names. See you guys.
Bye.
Okay, let me do this right here and